Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It's an interesting talk in year 2, and this is for Maurice University of Management, 17th of December 2016, and I am Mehdad Panahande, the presenter, and as we promised, we are going to talk about Angular 2 and having a small project with TypeScript. Angular 2 was just released in 12th of October 2016, and I have been working with Angular 2 from release candidate. It was almost March 2015 until now. So because we are going to use TypeScript to write our Angular project, so I like to come up with some definitions in TypeScript and come over some pros and cons.
So let's talk about TypeScript a little bit. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that compiles the code to plain JavaScript. And there are some pros and cons for the TypeScript. So let's go with the pros. So we can have a definition of type, an object in our TypeScript, while in JavaScript we can't have any type definition unless it's anonymous. And we can determine a type in the fly with TypeScript, and we can also have casting over the data. But there are some cons. As we know, when we are talking about type, we are not sure that the developer is always passing the right type. And still, TypeScript is not the thing we want for the enterprise applications. TypeScript is a Microsoft product, and it has some competitors like Dart, ECMA, and CoffeeScript. So these are all compilers that can translate their code to JavaScript. TypeScript has some features like supporting standard JavaScript code. So it's a superscript. So whatever you write in JavaScript, you can still write in TypeScript. It provides static typing. It means it gives you the compile time error. It provides encapsulation. It means that you can have classes, modules, inheritance, and rest of object-oriented concepts. It supports the constructor, properties, and function at the same as JavaScript. You can use interfaces and inheritance in your application. It still supports some functionalities like lambdas, which is new in ES6 of JavaScript 2016 or 15. And you can have IntelliSense in your IDE. And here is the question, how I can use TypeScript. Well, there is an online way to do that. You can easily go to typescriptlang.org, and there is a playground tab, and you can see what has been changed in the versioning, and we can have some samples here. So as we can see here, there is a simple JavaScript code on the right-hand side, and I have a TypeScript code on the left-hand side. So the purpose of TypeScript is make the application, writing an application is for us easier, and make it more type-wise, so you can have definition of type on your code. So if I'm passing anything like an object, well, I am expecting a string as a return in under function. So there is a type error code here. So if I run this code, I will get hello object and object, which is not desirable for us. So they made it type safe. If you have type safety in your application, you are making sure that you are passing the right type on compile time. So this code is immediately translated in their website. You can also see other samples, like I have classes here, properties, the constructor, and the method inside my class. And as can I see, I can instantiate my class, create a new object, and assign the properties into object and call the method in here. So these are all translatable to JavaScript. More than that, I can have inheritances, and I can use my interface across all other concrete classes. I have generic types now, so I can pass any type, like from outside of your application, and inject it to your methods or classes and use them. That's great. I can have complex type. I can define a new type and say I want a string or an array of a string. And I can specify which type I get inside my function and process it later. There are other type of benefit we can get from TypeScript, but let's move on very quickly because we have other stuff to work on. All right, so that was the online way to do. There is the other way, which we need an IDE to write our TypeScript and compile it to our JavaScript. To do that, I need to have the TypeScript compiler installed in my machine. To do so, I need to go to the node.js website and download their application into my machine. So if you go to node.js.org, you can easily install that, which I already did it. And there is a command prompt. I can download my TypeScript with using this command, npm install -t TypeScript. And we'll grab it from the package manager they have in Node.js service, and they will install it. And I can make sure that it's installed in my machine by tsc-v. I get the version of it. So let's write a sample TypeScript file and compile it to JavaScript very quickly. So here I have a very simple HTML. Just I'm loading a JavaScript file here, and I want to have the associated TypeScript, which is in a script folder, and I just open it up for you. And if we see here very quickly, so there is a greeter class. I went a little bit crazy here. I have my generic type. I'm extended. It's like Java. I can have either a string or number of array. So I can have an array of number or a string. And I can pass either a string or number into my constructor of this class. So I just showed a sample that making sure that we can have a complex type in TypeScript. So we are pretty flexible. So let's just compile this TypeScript to the JavaScript that we want in the index.html. So it's easy. I just go to the root of the folder I have, and I go to my command prompt. I say TypeScript sample.ts, and I can see right in the back I have my JavaScript generated. So if I just go to my index.html, I can see I have the say hello button, and I pass a string or the number arrays, and I can this way just compile my TypeScript to JavaScript. There are other TypeScript editors as well. Visual Studio does the compiling right in the back for you. So as long as you are typing anything in TypeScript, it's compiled immediately in JavaScript. There's a Visual Studio Code, IDE, WebStorm, Atom, Eclipse, and other tools. But here I'm choosing Visual Studio Code, and it is why I chose. There are the reasons. first of all, it's very light. It has a very good supporting of tools, so in extensions. It has debugging tools, so I can really debug my JavaScript or TypeScript with Visual Studio Code, while you can't do that in other IDEs. But there is a plugin in Eclipse that I know. It supports Zen coding or emitting. It has code compare. It's really dependent from OS. And sorry, independent. I have to fix this. And it really can recognize any file extension. And it has its own internal terminal. And you can really easily divide the panels horizontally and vertically in your IDE. So you were wondering what is Zen coding. Very quick sample for that is if I go to my Visual Studio Code just now and just download it, it's very light. It's just a couple of megabytes. I already downloaded it, so I just opened my Visual Studio Code here, and I'm going to show you this very quick sample. Let me open my file. And I have a Zen coding HTML ready, so I'm just want to show you what is Zen coding. So Zen coding is like this. I want to have an HTML tag. Inside that, I want to have a head and body, which I like to have a div with a class of, let's say, definition. And I just need two of them. So I say just multiple by 2. And I like to have a div class with some classes, or some div with class of methods. And I just need 3 of them. So if I just hit tab, it will generate the code for me. So that's called Zen coding. I'm just switching bit back and forth to see what happened. So other ITs that Node, Pad++ also support that, but here is what we have in Visual Studio Code. And if you're wondering how can I get access to those kind of Zen coding, so there is a cheat sheet. So it's emit cheat sheet. You can Google it, or I have this link provided for you. So there is a cheat sheet. So like I have a UL tag here, and then an li, and I need 5 of them. So I write it like this way. And let's talk about AngularJS 2 now. So what is AngularJS 2? AngularJS 2 is a JavaScript framework for building client-side application, which still uses HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Why Angular 2 then? There are other type of framework that we can use and use JavaScript, get the benefit of JavaScript code, which is a very low-level language for HTML and client-side developing. But what Angular 2 gives us? First of all, it makes HTML more expressive. It powers up HTML with more features such as if conditions, for loop, and any other local variables you can get access to it. It powers up the data binding, and you can easily display field form from a data binding you have, and whatever end user is sending to your data model, you can show it to your HTML tag, and vice versa. So you can also send whatever happening in your HTML tags to your data model. That we'll discuss that further. It also provides modularity. So if there is an enterprise application, you can have several modules and bind them together later, or disable them, or hide them from your clients. It concludes a built-in backend integration, just in case that you want to talk to a web service or your endpoint. You can easily go there and communicate with your web services. And now we're going to say, why Angular 2? Why not Angular 1? What went wrong with Angular 1? Well, Angular 1 was very slow when you are loading a lot of JavaScript or TypeScript file, so it can't handle very big enterprise application. So here's the difference. For like 12 modules, you get this lack of speed here, and it's supported by JavaScript and Dart for now. So Dart is doing like this much and JavaScript like this. And in Angular 2, you get much less latency. And if it's in the production, so you can use view caching, so it's much more less. Well, so every framework has an anatomy, and let's see what's the Angular 2 anatomy. Well, an Angular 2 application has several components, and we are sharing some services across components. We can also have a module wrapping all the components all together in itself, and we can share modules. So what is inside a component? It's easily just containing 3 parts. It has its own template. It has a class, which we are deciding to make our data model in it. And it can also include the metadata in it that we will see further. But let's discuss a little bit here with seeing sample code. So here's part of application we're going to write. So I have on the left-hand side, my file structure, I have my different components, and I have services and providers shared between components. And each component has its own class, which as I can see, it has a private property, constructor, and other methods. And it has metadata, and I can import data into my component. Here's another component. Again, I can import data or data models from other else. It has metadata, and it has class. It's really simple. We'll see very closely in the future. For now, I'm going to use a very powerful tool called Angular CLI. CLI is command line interface. So this tool provides me a very powerful strength of creating an application, serving an application, and creating components inside in it without being worried about wiring up the components. So where can I get the Angular CLI? So there is the Angular CLI website. You can go there and easily download by this command, npm install -g Angular CLI. The Node package manager that you already installed in your machine will download Angular CLI package from Node.js server and will install it in your machine. And further, you can have a new application created by this command. So let's create our application that we are going to discuss with this tool. So here I have a new folder inside my MUM folder called Angular Project, and I'm just going to open my Angular Project folder with my IDE. As I can see, I have toggle terminal command here, so I can easily open my terminal inside my Visual Studio Code. So here I'm going to just type ng new, and let's call this application ng-mum, which represents Angular in MUM. While I'm waiting for the project to be built, so I can see different file structure I got right in the back. So I have my app folder, which is the most important folder for me in the application. So each component going to have its own CSS file and the template and the data model I'm going to have inside my component. We will see it very closely in the future. for the sake of time, I recorded this video. I'm just going to explain a little bit about the extension for this IDE, Visual Studio Code. So I have my Angular 2 TypeScript emit, which I showed just what is the Zen coding. It makes us really easy to code HTML tags. I have my code spell checker because I'm not a native English speaker, so I just need it. I have my debugger with Chrome, and I have other extensions, and the most important one is the TypeScript importer, that I can have my models imported to my component automatically. So I'm just continuing to the place I have my project created. Well, here I'm just going to type ng generate, or let's just serve this application for the sake of seeing that we can easily serve application with Angular CLI project. So if I go to my local host with port 4200, which is default by Angular CLI project, and I can see my app works. And because this is, I have a property in one component that I'm going to discuss what happened later. But let's see, I'm just saving something in my title, and the application got refreshed. Let's see that again. So I have my app works here. I'm going to change something in my component, like app works in MUM. And I can see right in the back, I got the effect in my browser. That's cool, isn't it? So what happened? So when I'm creating a new Angular CLI project, or any Angular project, I have my index.html, which is the root of my application. But I'm going to have a root tag here inside my body of the index.html. So these are the representative of a controller that's going to have the same selector inside init. This controller or component has a template. This template is injected inside my tag. This template has a property called inside my model in the component. So this is really basically the architecture of Angular. So in your application, you are going to define some tags, and you are going to have some different components that has that selector, like the same as the tag you defined, and just injects the template that you have inside your component defined into your application. Because that's injected, you have the data model ready, so you can call any property from your data model inside your application. Super easy. But let's go back to the video very quickly. Here. And let's see a real code for that. So here's the file structure. So I got my index.html here, which is the root of application. And I have app.component, which is an entry point for my application. So inside my index.html, I'm defining a tag here, which is known inside a component, which is the app.component, the entry of my application. I call a template app.component.html. This is the app.component.html. And again, I have a property from my model. I'm calling it. So app works in MUM will show between these tags. I'm going to create another component inside my application. So let's watch this video. So far I just have the title. I'm going to create another component for now. But let's see. So I have created my a movie component. So you type ng generate movie.component will generate this component for you automatically. It will include the TypeScript file, the spec, which is for testing, the template, and the CSS file. It's interesting that you can have separate CSS file for each component. So you can easily lazy load the CSS file inside your application. So you are not loading too much CSS into your client side, which increase the latency in your application. So let's see what happened. So I'm just encoding a app movie inside my app.component. I'm just moving this title upside of the app movie. So there should be an app movie tag inside my component responsible for this tag. So it says movie works. So it shows that I just loaded my component. And say why movie works was shown there. So there is something in the movie.component that is responsible for that. So what is it? It's the template. The template was injected inside my app.component from the movie.component. So this application purpose would be searching a movie online and keep track of searched movies in the application. So very quickly, let's just for now I have the movie works here. So I'm going to do some changes here because I want to really load a movie in MUM. So inside my movie.model, I'm going to create a model. I'm just going to copy a model to my movie.model. So it has some properties like title, like year, rated, release, runtime, and other properties that I need for my model. And I'm going to easily export that model that I can import it somewhere else. Where I'm going to import it inside my component. So I would say movie is the type of movie, and I'm going to have something initializer, which is a ready interface from Angular core. So I'm just going to get movie from somewhere that I'm going to define get movie just for now inside this class. So I just simply copy pasta some code from outside for the sake of saving time. So I easily created a movie class here. And I'm giving just some values to the properties. And let's change the template inside the movie component.html. So I'm using some CSS classes, so I have to import my CSS as well inside my component. So I have my CSS inside my app.component. Why I put it in my app.component? because I need them all across my application. And I'm going to use some third party like Font Awesome and just paste it in my index.html that I can have them available across my application. So if I just save them all, I should have my application running. As you can see, it's compiled right in the back. I'm trying to load the application. Well, something went wrong. So I can easily go and see what went wrong. Yet there is a get movie. So I just forgot to put this in here. So I can easily compile, get the exception in the compile time. And here my movie shows up. Well, I have something weird in my data, which is the movie director says drama romance. This highlight should be in top here. And I used something to split them. So I made a method get genre and just splitting my input string with the spaces. And further in my template, I use a for and I just say put comma between them. How? I say just get genre from my model, which is calling a method inside my model. I'm passing the genre I got from my model to the method, and then I get each item splitted from the method, which is the array of a string. And I can loop through the array by ng4, and I have access to the elements. I called them item earlier, so I can have access to them, and I can put a comma after them. So drama romance has a comma after itself, while in my model was just drama romance. I say, what? Wait a second, what did you say? So let me show you very quickly what happened in here. So I had my genre, drama, and romance here, but I like to show it to the user like drama, comma, and romance, comma. So again, I define a method inside my class, which I pass a string and get an array of a string. Inside my template, there should be something called category. So I found it. In my model, that category data was passed to the genre. So I just passed the genre to my get genre method inside my model. And I get an array of a string, and I can loop through each element of the array. And I have access to the same element here. So these double curly brackets called interpolation. So in Java, in Angular, you can access to your items inside your model with interpolation. Let's move on. So I defined some to-do list for myself to create that application, the promise application. So the first part would be creating a custom component for my movie component. So before that, you may be wondering, what is this picture? Where it comes from? So this is really from Amazon website. If I just click that, I can get access to it. But I'm not really interested in rating that of the movie I am showing here. So I like to show some stars below here. So, well, let's create a component which is responsible for that. To do so, I need to stop my application, hitting Control C and clear my screen for now. I'm just going inside my application and just saying ng generate new component of star. As you can see, the star component were created. All the elements all together here. So I have HTML, a spec, and the CSS related for that. So what do I need inside the star component? So beside the constructor I have, I'm going to copy and paste some code to my component. Well, here I have an input, which is the rating. So this should be injected from somewhere else. From where? From my movie.component later. And I can have access to my star with, which I'm going to make changes or any changes happening in my component with making use of this unchanged interface ready from Angular core that I have. So ng unchanges is responsible for the interface I just imported. So from outside of the world in Angular core projects, if any component uses ng unchanges method and the related interface unchanges, that will be called separately from the core. So this component will get refreshed immediately if anything inside init will change. So what my HTML tag will look like. Well, the template of the star.component will be like this. I'm going to have just 5 stars, as all normal sites will show the rating of a film or a movie like 5 stars. And I'm just going to define the length of the div tag like 86 pixel, and I'm going to wrap that inside another div class that I can have access over the width of the div tag with the star width from my component. And I can also have a title for my div tag. When I mouse hover on it, I can show the rating. So the star width and the rating. And I use some CSS classes here in my star component specifically for this component. So I just pasted here. I don't need them across application. So later you can also export your star.component to outside of Word. But the star.component is using a tag is ai.star, and it has a rating. So I should call this tag somewhere in my movie component. So instead of using the movie.imdb rating, I'm just pasting this code here. So from outside of the Word of the star.component, I'm passing a rating property into my component, which was an input for the star.component. And I'm just passing my properties from my model. I divided this IMDb rating by 2 because my rating model and whatever I'm going to get from my service online is based on 10, while I have a 10 star. I have 5 stars in my star.component. So I just basically divided by 2 here. And this plot just makes a string here. As you remember, all the properties were a string to a number. And so this is just a JavaScript trick. So if I save my application, go to my local host, I should have some stars below my rating. Next step will be creating a list of movies instead of having just one movie in my application, because later I'm going to keep track of each searched movie. So for now, I'm going to create a list of movies. So on the left hand side, I just have one movie. What if I want to have several movies? So I just created a movie list component. And what I'm going to have here? Well, I'm going to have a list of movies, and I'm just initialize it like a simple array. And I'm going to get movies from my movie.component, which I'm not interested to put in there. I'm just putting in here. So I can have the get movies here. I'm just getting rid of this code, which is a garbage for me now. I don't need the engine on it anymore. I'm just going to pass movie from outside of the word of movie.component into it. I use that extension. Just right click and say input. So here I have my div class, my div tag, and I say get movies from the component model. So inside my HTML, get back for a second. The same. I have a list of movies here. Call them movie for each item, and I can loop through each item. I can access to each element just passing to my another component, app movie. So I'm easily passing an object to my app movie component from movie list component. So again, get movies. So if it says loading, it doesn't know where to get the movies from. So I should include this app movies list tag somewhere in my index, in the app.component.html that can be injected to my index.html. And instead of using app movies, I'm just putting in a span to have a good space, and just save all the modified files for now and see what's going to happen to my application. So I'm expecting 2 movies down here because I had 2 push to my list of movies. So I just forgot to clean my code a little bit. When I'm waiting for the compile, here we go. We have 2 list of movies here. So we talked about services shared across components, but we haven't created one. Let's do so. Well, inside my share folder, I'm going to have a movie.provider.ts. And so the provider is really a class that I can export between my classes. So I'm just calling it movie provider for now. And let's have something inside my movie provider, like a private search movies, which is from the type of movie. And I'm going to have to put them inside a dictionary. So this is how I define a dictionary in TypeScript. And I say the key should be a string type, and the value is the movie type for me for now. And I'm going to have another method here. So let's say get searched movies. And this search movie will return for me an iterable of movie that I can loop through inside it later. So this should return my dictionary's value. And I'm going to fill my dictionary a little bit, like say this the search movies. First of all, let's initialize it. So I have a dictionary of a string and movie as key elements. And let's create a movie for now and get it from a method. Let's say this.getMovie. I'm going to feed my dictionary with the newly created movie. And I say just the key would be the movie title for me. Doesn't give me the intelligent. It's not very friendly all the time ID. Not a good ID for me. Right, so the movie got injected to my dictionary, and I'm just gonna grab the get movies from movie list that I don't need it there. Oops. And just grab it to my movie provider, just for now. And I'm gonna call this multiple times. Not this one, really. So I'm gonna insert multiple movies inside my dictionary. Just I want to test if my dictionary is working. So dictionary is just keeping one, like the district value of a string and movie. And I'm going to import my provider I just created in my app modules. So there is a place for putting your providers in the providers list. So you are introducing your provider. I'm gonna use this provider across my application. And I like to inject my provider to different components. I'm just grabbing some code and pasting here. And let's use my provider inside my movie list component. So instead of saying get movies, I'm gonna have my movie provider injected to my component from the constructor. So this will be automatically injected by the Angular core. So I don't need this anymore. And I'm just using my provider to feed my list for now. So I just get search movies. So I can really cast a dictionary to an array. So okay, not a problem. I would say, yeah, I'm going to have my these movies equal to an array of dictionary values. And later I can assign my movies at the return statement. Oh, don't forget to put this before that. Yep. So we just save my file. Gonna refresh my application one more time. So as you see, I just have one movie, not multiple times. Not multiple movies. So the dictionary works here. So as we see, we just provided a provider across my different components inside the application. But let's talk about a little bit about backend services. So I really want to have my movies loaded from a real service. So there is an online service I found that you can pass some API calls, let's say Titanic, to their endpoint and get a JSON file. So this is the JSON I was using inside my movie.model. So let's create that backend service for our application. So again, I use ngGenerate. I'm sorry. So I just added this movie service inside my application in the share folder, movie.service. And it really uses JavaScript promises. So you can make a call to their endpoint, which was omdapi.com, passing some input parameters like the title, year, and plot. As we saw in their website, you can pass the title, year, and plot to their endpoint. And there was another one, JSON. I just said, like, this for now, hard-coded JSON because I always want to get the JSON. So I can really pass 3 elements from outside of the world to my service, get the data, and promise it to outside. And if any error happens, I can log it here. So this is JavaScript promise call, and I used RxJS package to make it a promisable object. Since I created the service, I have to introduce it to my application. The place to introduce is the provider's array. So I just put it beside my movie provider. So I have movie service, movie provider. In my share folder, movie provider, movie service. So I'm going to enhance the provider a little bit. Like, I want to have add movie method. So somebody tells me what movie I need to add to my dictionary. I don't need to add it by myself. And again, somebody wants to remove a movie from the dictionary. So call my method remove movie, and I just go and grab it from the dictionary and just delete it. So instead of get movies, I replace them with 2 methods, add movies and remove movies. And why I did that? Because in my movie list component, I want to really grab the data from outside of the world and call my service and put the feedback from my service to my provider. So if I say get movies from my template, which I have not, so if from my template, so it's really responsible for me to get whatever I have inside my provider, the dictionary, and put it in an array and return it back for me. Why I do a reverse? Because I want to have the latest search movie on top. So I just reversed my movie. And also, I want to have other call from my template, like I want to have a remove movie specification inside my component. So I just created that onRemove method to be responsible calling my provider remove movie from the template. And inside my template, I'm just passing a movie from whatever I got from the list I have to onRemove method. So this movie will be passed into my component. If I create an arrow here. And this movie will pass to my provider, and my provider will take care of removing that from the dictionary. but I'm really unaware of implementation of provider here. So assume that. So you can provide some providers or services to your clients that they are really not aware of it, and they can just import your provider or service to their application. And the last part, I'm going to have the real search component. And here the real search component should look like. Just for now, I'm going to grab a movie by title and year and have a button to be responsible for calling my web service. Like the title and year is defined in the template, and the button also is there. Why I have this parenthesis and a square bracket for the title and year? Well, as whatever we have seen so far was bracket or the parenthesis. So parenthesis is responsible sending something to my component, and bracket is responsible to get something from my model inside the component. But if I have both of them, I have two-way binding. Or in Angular word, they say banana in the box. It's like a banana in a box. Just sake of easing remembering the name, or the like not missing parentheses before the square bracket. Just put the banana inside the box. And I have my ng model called here. So this is the like a standard from Angular. So you can call the ng model. You call the property, assign the properties to your ng model. And inside your component, you should have input for the title and year that you can manipulate the value from outside of the HTML. So you can really feed the data into your HTML just by changing the values. And also you can send whatever value you get from the HTML to your component. So that's why I have two-way data bindings here. Inside my movie search component, I had a tag app movie search that I'm just going to include my app.component.html. Just put that tag beside my app movie list. That whatever I'm going to search, I'm going to pass it to my service at the end and feed my provider. Well, while I have my provider dictionary ready, I can fetch the data, put it in my app movie list here. I'm going back to a very quick demo. So this is my local host project, and I can easily search any movie. Something comes to my mind, like an Indian movie, Wazir. So if I hit my debugger tool, I want to show that I'm calling a network service right in the back, like cars. Searching for cars movie. So I'm calling a web service, getting the back data like a JSON. And here the pictures are really a real picture in an internet, like they linked it to Amazon picture in here. And I can really easily forget my search movies by just clicking the delete button, and like always show my favorite movie. So that was a very quick walking through Angular 2 application. This is what I had to squeeze in 1.5 hours. I know it's not going to be a workshop, but at least an introduction for whoever is interested for front-end developing like JS products. So this is me, Mirdad, and you can really access to my Gmail. I will answer any question you have. I will send my code and the PowerPoint into a shared environment. I will let you know by Professor Payman Saleh that I have to really thank him for the making this seminar or web talk easily for us. I also use some resources like TypeScript organization, Angular.io, and I use some resources from Pluralsight, which is a really a good site. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Mirdad. I really appreciate the time that you have spent. This was a very well-prepared presentation, so I'm really thankful for your time and your presentation today. So I'm going to ask the class, we have about 20 students sitting in the class, see if anyone has any questions for you.
Sure.
Okay.
What about the Android and iOS?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Can we develop Android and iOS applications?
So he's wondering if they can develop Android applications using AngularJS.
Yes. So if anything is written in TypeScript, it can be compiled to JavaScript. Since JavaScript is known in mobile application, you can use Angular for the mobile application too.
Right, but what you showed is basically a web application, right? So it's basically a web interface. It's not a mobile app, right? Can it be compiled on Android and used on Android?
Yes, Node.js will provide rendering any Angular or JavaScript application for mobile application too.
So one we had Ionic for to develop iOS and Android applications. So what do we have in this?
Okay, so so the question is in Angular 1 we have what again? Ionic. So now he's wondering what do we have in Angular 2 for doing the same thing? Do you know the answer?
What do we have in Angular 1? Sorry.
Ionic?
Ironic?
IONIC.
Yeah, so those concepts are gone. So like the controllers, like it was introduced, Angular 1 was really introduced like an MVC application, like a MVC framework. But those concepts are gone because ES6 introduced modular or modules or modularity in JavaScript. And so Angular, during the release candidate versions, try to avoid using any controllers inside the application. So those concepts are gone in Angular 2.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we have to use TypeScript sometimes?
So Mirdad, the question is, do we have to use TypeScript to use AngularJS 2?
Well, I would say you don't have to, but if you are really interested to create an enterprise level application, you want to have something to enhance your code easily and type safe for you to really maintainable and extendable across the application. So if you finally ended up using TypeScript, why not using TypeScript? Like I have Java as a high-level language is transpiled to C or C++ at the end. And after that, I have assembly, C translated to assembly. And so you are getting benefit from the high-level languages. So why not using them? But your question's answer would be no, you don't have to use TypeScript. Like in Angular 1, people are still using JavaScript.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mirdad, I would like to add that this whole area of a single-page application that I believe AngularJS is is one way to do it, is a very hot topic these days. I was working for a bank a few years ago, and we were doing a single-page application. We were using Amber and handlebars and that sort of technology, JavaScript engines.
Yes.
And I'm happy to see that Angular is now becoming very popular, and more large enterprise applications are using them. Just a few months ago, I was in a conference, and one of my friends, he told me that he was working for Capital One, which is a very large financial company, and they are using AngularJS for their front end. And they're using a single-page application for their entire online banking. So these AngularJS and in general SPA is becoming more and more popular nowadays. So thank you for this talk.
You're welcome. Just adding to your comments, we have 1.1 million applications now running in AngularJS 1, but we have a couple of few applications running in AngularJS 2 because it's really hard to upgrade from AngularJS 1 to JS 2. But at the end, enterprise application have to upgrade the coding version. And whatever I heard from Google, they are going to release Angular 3 as well next year. So if you are interested to follow, you can just go to Angular.io or Angular University they call, and follow their tweet. And see, for now, it was just October they released Angular 2. Now we are Angular 2.2. So it's really fast growing.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a very good holiday, everybody.
Thank you, you too.